What's cracking, everybody? XehrFelrose here, bringing you some Pokemon Go Battle League content. Today's video, we're going to be answering the question that I have seen on comments, stream, all over the place, even on social media. Is this Palkia or Dialga Origin worth investing in? Should I build it? Now, we're going to be taking a look at a few different things, but I just want to make sure, because this video, it's something that I've seen asked in so many places. You maybe have gotten your Palkia or Dialga Origin from the recent Wild Area event. Maybe you've been holding off since the Sinnoh event in February and have been trying to lucky trade. Maybe you've got some that you like, but you're not sure of. And another question is, do I need the special move on Palkia and Dialga in order to make sure that it's worth building? We're going to answer all of that today and maybe a little bit more. And what we're going to be covering in this video is we're going to be taking a look, as my my fat head is covering up things, but it's the narration will cover it, I'm sure. We're going to be taking a look at Origin Dialga and Origin Palkia, and we're going to be taking a look at both with and without a Best Buddy boost equipped. So we're going to see and we're going to answer basically what's the minimum IV spread that you can build on either of these Pokemon with or without that Best Buddy boost equipped. So let's start with Dialga Origin. This is going to be probably a little bit less important, I guess, now that Rhyperior has taken over the Master League, but Dialga Origin is still a really strong Master League pick, and I myself over the Wild Area weekend was actually able to get, I don't know how I did it, dude. The luck was insane. The rolls were great. I just looked down and my remote raid was a hundo and it had the move after I caught it and I was just over the moon. But I had planned, if I had gotten a good one without the move, I was planning to build it. So that'll be a question we'll answer towards the end. Is the move necessary? But here we have the IV spreads. And what I've done is I've taken all of the, close-ish, maybe good enough IV spreads and plugged them in to PvPoke on the Battle Matrix Simulator, which you could do as well. Go to Battle, then go to Matrix, go to Master League, and then plug in your IV spreads against the Master League meta, and you'll be able to do this yourself as well. But we have the Hundo is our base point, so we assume that the Hundo is obviously the best possible build. With 14 defense, in both cases, you are going to be taking an extra 1 point of damage per Mud Slap from a non-Best Buddy Rhyperior. And what these bulk points mean is it means just that. You're taking an extra point of damage from the fast move of the opposing Pokemon. So by saying that we lose a bulk point, we're saying we're taking an extra point of damage. So conversely, a break point, which we probably won't deal with too much because we assume that everything has 15 attack, which you want to make sure that your Pokemon has 15 attack. If it has less than 15 attack, it is a no-go in the Master League, and we do not really want to build it because you will always lose charge attack priority, and there's also, certain things that maybe just lower attack is not beneficial. So if you have it with 14 or less attack, we can rule it out immediately. But when we start dabbling in mixing the HP and the defense, so 15, 15, 14 functions the exact same as a Hundo. That is going to be perfectly fine. And you can safely, if you have that 98, that extra 1 point of HP is not going to make a difference in your matchups. Now, the 15, 14, 14 is going to be a bit of a mix of both, where the HP is not going to matter, but you're taking that extra damage from the Rhyperior. And then we drop down to 13 HP. You're still taking the extra damage from the Rhyperior, but you're also now taking 1 extra damage from the Waterfalls from Kyogre. This isn't going to flip the Kyogre matchup. It's not like Kyogre is going to win that matchup by doing 1 extra damage, but it's worth noting. And if you have 13 HP as opposed to 14, if you are up against a normal Dialga, not the Origin, but just the old regular Dialga, you will lose that in the 1 shields regardless of whether you have the Best Buddy boost. Well, the opposing Dialga will win it if it has or does not have the Best Buddy boost, which most Dialgas in the Master League at this point will, because it's just been one of those things that's been so incredibly important to have. So we dump down to the very bottom where we have a 15, 13, 13. We're mixing the 13 defense and the 13 HP. When you drop down to 13 HP and 13 defense, you have to remember that those 2 IVs in HP, they'll make a difference of 1 or 2 HP. And that could mean the difference of whether or not you live the final Dragon Breath or something like that. to win a matchup. So in the 15-13-13 situation, we end up with a 0 shields, so that means that there's no shields in play. You actually lose to Best Buddy Palkia Origin because it lands that spatial rend, and if I'm not mistaken, I think it gets a break point or a bulk point, and we'll be able to look at that in a minute when we look at Palkia. But you also have a 1 shield loss to both forms of Dialga. That means even in the mirror, you are going to lose against a non-best buddied Origin Dialga as well. So in my opinion, if you drop down below 14 defense and you start to lose every mirror, that's the cutoff for me. So far we've seen that 15 and 14, meaning 15 attack, 14 defense is going to be ideal. Let's take a look at the Best Buddy boost. There's a little bit more in play here, and I think this is going to be worth it. And this is the reason why I think that having the Best Buddy boost on Dialga is really more necessary if you can help it. Just because of the fact that it does affect so many matchups. I'll just move my fat head down here so y'all can see what's going on. So a 15, 14, 15 with the Best Buddy boost. And this is going to be a 1 shields loss to Waterfall Primarina. Not even Charm, Waterfall. So you're also taking a 2 shield loss to the regular Dialga. And this is now assuming that you have the Best Buddy boost equipped, and the opponents may or may not. I've tried to notate whether or not the opponent has the Best Buddy boost, so if you see BB or Best Buddy somewhere, assume that that Pokemon that we're talking about has the Best Buddy boost equipped against your Best Buddy Dialga, and if it doesn't say anything about it, then it doesn't have the Best Buddy boost equipped. So Primarina is typically going to beat Dialga in some of these matchups, especially when you start going down to 14 defense, because you do get that bulk point lost against the Primarina. And it's I don't remember if it actually makes the, yeah, it's the 1 shield loss that you take, but the 0s and the 2s, I think you're still okay. I would have to check the sims. I only saw the differences. I didn't check every single matchup individually, but you do lose a bulk point to both forms of Primarina. So both Waterfall and Charm. Opposing Solgaleo is also going to be doing an extra point of damage, and the Best Buddy Rhyperior is able to get that bulk point against you. So basically, your Best Buddy boost and the Rhyperior Best Buddy boost end up canceling each other out, and you get that break point, bulk point thing going on again after you take 14 defense. So I would say that since that's a losing matchup, I'm not super worried about Rhyperior as much, but it's still worth noting. If you have 14 HP, so 14 HP also gives you that loss to Waterfall Primarina, and a 2 shield loss to normal Dialga. So again, that 1 HP coming in and mattering. But normal Dialga will typically win against Origin Dialga anyway because it has the higher attack stat and allows it to win charge attack priority. That's usually why you lose those matchups. The 15, 14, 14 Best Buddy Dialga is still going to take on that loss to Waterfall Primarina and the 1 shields, and the 2 shield loss to normal Dialga. But you're also going to be taking those bulk points, the same ones as before, because we're still rocking 14 defense. Now, when we drop down to 13 defense, we're still picking up the loss to Waterfall Prima, and we're still losing those bulk points to the same Pokemon we mentioned before. However, now Best Buddy Kyogre comes into the list. So again, the Best Buddy Kyogre kind of canceling out the Best Buddy boost if you dip your defense low enough. Now, with a 13 HP, it's still going to be the same as 14 HP, so that's not going to be a big difference here. But if you drop both down to 13 HP and 13 defense and 13 HP, then we're going to be adding kind of all of these things together, and at that point, I feel like that is a lot of things to lose for the defense stat that we have. Even with the Best Buddy boost, it feels like it's a lot. So, again, this is all compared to the Hundo, where if you have the Hundo, you don't lose, or, you know, none of these things are applied unless you have lower stats. So, that being said, when you look at the Best Buddy differences, what do we really gain overall? If you compare a Hundo with the Best Buddy boost and a non-Hundo without the Best Buddy boost. Again, we're talking about all the things that we already spoke about. But now we're going to get CMP ties against other Best Buddy Origin Dialga. If the opponent has the Best Buddy boost and you do not, you do lose that matchup regardless. And Best Buddy boost on Dialga has been important because of that mirror. When it's very prevalent, that mirror is extremely important to have that boost in. You also get the 2 shield win over non-Best Buddied normal Dialga because of the bulk that the Origin has. You just out-bulk it and are able to finish that matchup and win it. So that can be helpful if regular Dialga for some reason becomes more prevalent, but we've seen a lot less of them as Origin Dialga has become more accessible. We also get a breakpoint against non-best buddied Palkia Origin, which is very nice. That helps shore up that matchup a lot more, which is actually why you end up losing that matchup in certain situations that we talked about earlier. You also gain the bulk point against Primarina, Solgaleo, and Rhyperior. Solgaleo and Rhyperior are already negative matchups, so having those bulk points can kind of help even the tide a little bit. But Primarina, I feel like unless you have like an energy or shield advantage, that's already a really tough matchup to get through, especially if it's got Charm. Waterfall, you might be a little bit better off, but either way, you're still gonna... This is the difference here between the best buddy and the non-buddy. So let's go ahead and take a look now at the final verdict of Palkia, or of, not Palkia, Dialga. Palkia's coming up next. So the minimum viable IV spread that I would absolutely like, okay, 15, 14, 12, only because you need to win the mirrors, and those are the minimum stats required to win the mirrors, or at least have even play in the mirrors. And that's really what I would go, like, for all the things that we lose, ultimately, I would not put too much stock in the Primarina being already pretty much a losing matchup, Rhyperior, Solgaleo already being a losing matchup, Kyogre, we already win that matchup, so it's not really super important for us to, you know, build an IV spread around those. But I would say that the Dialga, and even when it comes to like Palkia, like think about what's currently very popular. Primarina, I think, already wins against Dialga in most shielding scenarios, so I wouldn't be super worried about things that you're already losing, because you're just going to lose them a little bit less harder, so if that makes sense. But as far as the move on Dialga, Roar of Time, I would say, is not necessarily a requirement for it to have play, but it allows you to have more consistency, right? Because Roar of Time is a Draco Meteor clone, same energy, same damage. However, you don't have the attack drops, so that means that you can continue playing through a matchup with the same attack, you know, without having debuffed attack, essentially. And you definitely want to pair it with Iron Head, right? Because Iron Head's a good same type attack bonus move, good against steel, good against fairies, especially. But we are absolutely okay with, you know, like, for example, what I was going to do, if I did not get a good IV Dialga with Roar of Time, I was going to build it with Thunder, right? Because Thunder is pretty good as well in the current meta, so I wouldn't hate having Thunder as a backup option. So Roar of Time, not necessary, but definitely helpful to have, but you can get away without it. So now Palkia. Palkia is a little bit more touchy, but again, it also has the same situation as Dialga, where the things that come and go here may not be as necessary for you to really worry about. So we're going to take a look here at the things that you have without a best buddy Palkia. I don't have a best buddy Palkia. I'm just lazy, to be completely honest with you, and I don't have mine best buddied. So when you have 14 defense, there's no matchup differences, but you do lose some bulk points, and those are going to be to Dialga Origin, already a losing matchup, Therian Landorus, already a winning matchup, best buddy Giratina Altered, which I'm pretty sure is a winning matchup, but I could be wrong. Those Dragon Claws do add up. Best buddy Togekiss and best buddy Yveltal. Best buddy Togekiss, already a losing matchup. Whatever. Best buddy Yveltal. Most people probably aren't best buddying the Yveltal, and if they do, that's okay. It doesn't flip the matchup in either way. Palkia still comes out of that matchup in the same way. If you have a 15 defense but 14 HP, there's no matchup differences. So that is a functional hundo as far as the Sims are concerned. There is, however, a slight difference in HP. I think it's like a 1-point difference in HP, but it's not enough to make any matchups change. Now, when we go down to 14 defense and 14 HP, we're still keeping the same bulk points, but there's no other matchup differences. 13 defense with the 15 HP. Actually, we do get a 2 shield loss to best buddy Melmetal. Again, not something super prevalent, and you could probably play around it. If you're playing Palkia, you probably have another answer to Melmetal on your team, so it may not be a super necessary thing, but it's still worth keeping in mind. You're also keeping those same break points, or bulk points, I should say, lost. I shouldn't say break points. When you say break points, these are the bulk points. These are the defensive bulk points, not the break points. I was starting to copy and paste with the wrong words, so that's my fault. But you lose bulk points to the Dialga, the Giratina, the Melmetal, the Landorus, the Togekiss, and the Yveltal. It's also the same stuff. Again, nothing here is really, you know, shifting matchups too much. Now, if we have a 13 HP with 15 defense, we actually end up having a 2-shield tie with a normal best buddied Palkia, as opposed to, I believe, it being a loss. Normal best buddy Palkia. Normal best buddy Palkia is a win, because the Origin Palkia, I believe, was higher attack. But the HP may make a difference here with the Dragon Breaths. Now, when we drop to both 13 HP and 13 defense, all the bulk points that we've lost previously come into play. But now we also add a 1 and 2 shield loss in the mirror against other non-best buddied Palkias, normal Palkia, and you also have a 1 and 2 shield loss to both forms of Dialga. And this is going to be Origin, and I'm not really sure how this changes, because I'm pretty sure that you lose pretty much all 1 and 2 shields to both forms of Dialga. So that was a interesting one to pick up. Maybe I accidentally read the break or the bulk points tab. But you get a 2 shield tie with best buddied normal Palkia, which is not going to be as, I mean, good luck if you see any of those. And you get 2 shield losses to best buddy Melmetal, and best buddy Solgaleo also somehow able to eke out a win here in the 2 shields. It becomes a loss for that, and that was very surprising for me to see that. But let's take a look at what Palkia Origin with the best buddy boost gains us. So Palkia with the best buddy boost with the following stats. Again, you're going to have basically no differences against non-best buddied opposing Pokemon with pretty much all of these. So the reason why we're going to come to this conclusion here is, like, we lose bulk points in 14 defense, 13 defense. The HP doesn't seem to make as much of a difference, but the interesting ones here, you lose bulk points to all of the best buddy Origin Dialga and Therian Landorus. You also lose the bulk points to Origin Dialga Landorus, Giratina, Togekiss, and Yveltal with the 13 defense. And then somehow, when you drop down to 13 HP, somehow that becomes a 0 shield tie with best buddy Groudon with Mudshot. And I thought that was a pretty easy matchup, but apparently that Precipice Blades just hits just hard enough to make that difficult. But for me, I actually don't think this is all that much. But this is a lot of just, here's what you get. But the reality is that we are basically, the best buddy on Palkia helps shore up a lot of bad IV spreads, essentially. With best buddy boost over the non-best buddy, again, we're just assuming that we have 2 hundos we're comparing here. You get 0 shield wins over Dawnwing's Necrozma and the best buddy Groudon. And you also win all even shields against non-best buddy Origin Palkia, because you are getting that CMP tie win when it matters. You're also able to out-bulk them by just a little bit, having that extra HP. You get break points with the best buddy boost against Dawnwing's Necrozma, which is if it's not best buddied, which is kind of nice to know. You also get bulk points against the best buddy Origin Dialga and the best buddy Therian Landorus, which is very interesting. Being able to take 1 less Dragon Breath damage against the best buddy Origin Dialga could be helpful at some point in your gameplay. So, what's the verdict on Palkia? Here's the deal. Palkia has to have Spatial Rent for it to have an optimal amount of play in this league. It needs it. It doesn't have any other move that functions similarly. Unlike Dialga, where Roar of Time is a Dragon or a Draco Meteor clone, Spatial Rend is a very unique move to Palkia, and your other options are basically going to be Draco Meteor, Fire Blast, or Hydro Pump, which none of those are going to be optimal over Spatial Rend. So you want to kit Spatial Rend, but the thing is, if your IVs haven't been super kind to you, if you're not going to best buddy the Palkia, you can go for a 15, 15, 13 at the least. However, if you're going to add the best buddy boost and you have a 15, 13, 13, I would consider that buildable. Only because it really, like, the things that you lose by having 13 defense, they're not super important to being able to allow Palkia to do what Palkia does. So, that being said, that's the end of my spiel. Hopefully, this has helped you guys come to a decision on any of the Palkia or Dialga Origins that you have caught over the weekend. Hopefully this helps. And again, if you'd like, you can go to the PvPoke Matrix Simulator. That's going to be in the battle menu. Go to Matrix, and then you're going to be able to plug in on the left all of your Palkias and Dialgas, all the, with Best Buddy, without, and then on the right, you're going to use the pre-fill selection of the Master League meta, and then you can also add on the bottom of maximum stat product for putting them to 50, and Best Buddy to put them to 51. And you can take a look at all this for yourself for your own individual spreads, compare them to the hundo, see if you're happy enough with it, and if it looks fine enough and it meets the thresholds of IVs that we've looked at here, I think you're going to be in good shape. So that's going to do it for today, guys. Let me know in the comments what kind of wins you had over the wild area weekend. Hopefully you guys had some good hauls, lots of shinies, some good PvP IVs, and some good legendaries. There was a huge cluster of legendaries out there to be able to add to the Master League roster. So hopefully you guys had a good weekend. I know I had a pretty good one myself. Thank you all very much for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.